What's up, everybody? This is Remedy Israel. This is a continuation from the book, from Stanislav Grof's book, Realm of the Human Unconscious, dealing with the different stages of the experience of psychedelics. So this is the transpersonal experience, so let's jump straight into it. Um, the transpersonal experiences. These phenomena are intrinsically tied to psychedelic therapy. They can be defined as experiences involving an expansion or extension of consciousness beyond the usual ego boundaries and beyond the limitations of time and or space. Groff categorizes the transpersonal experiences according to the three-dimensional phenomenal world or objective reality as we know it from our usual states of consciousness and those that don't. Examples of the former would be ancestral, collective, and past incarnation experiences, as well as ego transcendence, group consciousness, a reduction of consciousness to cellular levels, and whilst the latter includes encounters with various others, universal mind consciousness, and intuitive understanding of universal symbols. So that was the transpersonal experiences from Stanislav Grof's Realm of the Human Unconscious. And so that's basically it for that. This is one whole video basically based on the what is it, 5 different I think it's 4 or 5 different stages of the psychedelic experience, and based on its psychological penetration into the psyche of who we are, into our individual unconscious, and the places of our mind that we forgot about that are actually very important to us. Whether it could be negative things, or it could just be certain things that you just forgot. But usually it's dealing with a lot of different things: the psychodynamic experience, the aesthetic experience and abstract experience, the transpersonal experience, the perinatal experience, etc., etc. So he did a very, very good job with enveloping the psychedelic benefits and the psychedelic characteristics and what it is able to do for the human, for mankind. So psychology and therapy have a long way to go. We see from a lot of studies, if you're actually paying attention, that the only therapy that really, really, really works is when it's psychedelically accompanied, when it's accompanied by psychedelics. Whether it be MDMA, ketamine, LSD, psilocybin mushrooms, LSD for the with Bill Wilson in the 1950s. They had a very, very good outcome of people recovering from their alcoholism. And Bill Wilson himself, who was the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, said that LSD cured his debilitating depression. And it basically just it rebalanced him back in his life, in a sense, well, not even in a sense, in all reality, gave him back the motivation, or not the motivation, the, what's the word I'm looking for, the what is that word, the it gave him back that spark. It basically shut down that depression. What is that, the default mode network or area of the brain or something like that? But basically psychedelics are very, very, very significant in our world, but they need to be reoriented and repositioned in a better light so people can have a better chance of recovering from the traumatic experiences. There's so many traumatic experiences that life throws us all the time. We sometimes get caught up in a pattern of negative thinking, which handicaps us from even being able to prosper and flourish and go on and propel into the future. And we are just robbed daily by all these medications for depression, all these medications for this and that, and they're not really doing anything. They're not really doing justice to anybody. I think the real benefit from that comes is if you get used to taking it and then you get pulled off of it, then you go crazy or something like that. But I don't think that they are actually really helping. And the statistics and the percentages of people who are, when they do these little analysis and tests and everything like that on the amount of people who are supposedly recovering, or just seeing if they're recovering or not. And they find out a lot of times they're not recovering. The longer you stay in a mental asylum or whatever, the longer you stay there, after a year or 2 years of you staying there, your chances of leaving there, if it goes anywhere beyond that, are basically zero. You're basically probably going to be there all your life, and you're going to die there. And because you weren't given the proper substances which could trigger and connect you back to those traumatizing experiences which have been handicapping you and holding you back from understanding your true self, and along with prayer, understanding who you are. I've heard certain therapists speak about, oh, well, maybe you should get into church or something. They touch on it very lightly, the whole spiritual realm. But if psychology and therapy are to ever prosper and flourish, which they never have been really, I mean, it would have to be with the psychedelic psychotherapy, psychedelic assisted psychotherapy, dealing with the psycholytic action of the psychedelics, going into your the true center of who you are, and it unveils and reveals so much about your personality. And you have been living in this world, and your ego has been telling you who you are and this and that, and it's very, very far from the truth of who you are. So I'm just going deep into what psychedelics have meant for me in my experience, and the research that I've done with them, in connection with everybody else that I know that have done them, picking up on their life stories, their testimonials and everything like that. But what happens is, when you give people certain things without an organized agenda or an organized implementation of how to carry that process out in a prudent manner, when you don't do that, people are left to their own to have to discover, negatively find out, and negatively find out how much drugs that they can do, how much of this substance they can do or whatever. So now that we have psychedelics coming back in a scientific way and being backed, now we can have professionals administer and admonish people on how to carry out, how to use these very powerful substances. Now, put in the wrong hand, these psychedelics can become a black hole, and just a hole of darkness if you're not using these things the right way. Let's try to stick more to just using them for traumatic experiences. If you're deep into addiction with drugs, they can be a very, very, very good support and aid in fostering you with your abstinence from drug use and everything like that. So that was a transpersonal experience, dealing with the expansion, that real stretch and expansion of consciousness and extension of consciousness beyond what you're usually able to feel, so or experience. So I'm just very, very happy and elated to be able to share this information with you. So this was the psychedelic, the realm of the human unconscious. Sorry, the realm of the human unconscious by Stanislav Grof. So I will be furthering my studies on psychedelics and psychology and philosophy, psychiatry, and I'm gonna crumble them all together. See what nice, if I can make a nice little pot of gumbo out of all those different fields of knowledge and everything. So have a very positive and productive day. Take the reality and take the reality of these psychedelics very, very serious. Do your research and know how much to take. And I'm really speaking to people. I'm not trying to tell somebody to do something that's illegal, but if people are going to go already out there and do it, then I want to at least present the instructions for people who are doing that, because I'm caring for the people who are stuck in addiction, who are stuck in the deeply traumatic situations of life, which they have never been able to escape the grasp of that traumatic and negative life altering effect. So this is why I'm sharing this information. I am truly sharing this from a psychological standpoint. That's pretty much it. Even though I've experienced people who didn't necessarily have crazy conditions that they needed to be freed from or whatever, but I understand the significance of psychedelics in all its ramifications, all its different avenues, all its different coordinates and positions where it is in this world, and how people are using them. I just want people to get a truer understanding of what they are in our world, because for psychology right now, the medications that they have are garbage. Therapy and all that stuff, I mean, it's not penetrating deep enough. You want to heal a tree, you're not going to heal it by just trying to introduce something to the leaves on the outside. Or let's not even talk about plants, let's talk about people. All healing always happens from the inside out. Psychology, they attack or they approach their patients from an extrinsic view, extrinsic angle. That's how they approach them, when really they should be approaching them from an intrinsic, meaning the inside. That's how they should be approaching these people. But they don't. Their system needs to definitely. It's still in its stages of in its not infinite in its infancy. The stages of psychology and therapy are still in its neonatal stages. It hasn't grown. It's on some Benjamin Button or it's on something, but it's not helping nobody really do anything. And so I just wanted to bring this information to you. So my next couple of videos are going to be focusing on psychology primarily, not dealing with psychedelics, but just about psychology. And I'm going to have some videos about the philosophy of religion and the Bible. And because I am a believer in the Bible. A lot of things in there are hard to understand, but that's the language that I'm used to. I'm used to the language of the Bible, but I'm still going to be talking about psychedelics and their significancy in our world. So stay tuned and have a beautiful day. Peace.